Hi, before I go into the purpose of this video, I just wanted to tell everyone thank you for all of the birthday wishes, the call, the text, the post. Thank you. They were definitely felt. Also, I want to thank everyone for their calls and the visits or just checking on me in the untimely death of my best friend Portia. Still don't seem real. Very unexpected. And truly, I think I still feel numb behind it, but I would say, but God, but God. The reason of this video, and also today I looked at it and I was just wondering like why I was just feeling such heaviness of, on top of everything else that's been going on. The day makes, let's see, 6 years that Miranda passed. So it's just been a lot, which, like I've said before, March seemed like it starts my emotional roller coaster. Birthday in March, granddaughter, she will be 5 and Thursday, and then the passing of my daughter May the 5th. So that emotional roller coaster begins for me in March, March, April, May. But again, all I say is, but God, by the grace of God, the reason I keep going, the reason I have the strength, the reason why I can still keep pushing forward. And yeah, it's by the grace of God. On the other side of that is I have somewhat, people in my close circle, I've, spoken, and they know kind of the issue or the legal matter pertaining to my daughter and her untimely passing. And so now I've decided with legal counsel, because I asked if it was okay for me to do this at this moment, and I've decided to now go public because there is a matter of the heart. There is a unjust legal system. There is some issues that we don't even realize, that affect us until it affects us. And so I'll just start with just giving a little background. I also, once I post this, I will release legal information. I'm going to release, records, medical, they're kind of lengthy, but I'll try to, narrow it down so you get the gist of what I'm kind of describing here, talking about. So on May the 5th of 2020, my daughter Nakashia Foster went to the emergency room because of she was vomiting and diarrhea. So she felt like that she was starting to feel dehydrated. And everyone know prior to that she does have sickle cell, so she knew that dehydration was not good for sickle cell, that it was sending her to a pain crisis. She had had a baby about right at 4 weeks prior to that. So she decided, I'm gonna go to the emergency room, get some fluid so that I don't dehydrate, and so that, of course, she was breastfeeding, her milk supply could continue to flow for her to continue to breastfeed. She goes to the emergency room. I can't, say the name of the emergency room because it is public records now, and it's a public hospital. And so she goes to the emergency room, and they are treating her for food poisoning and dehydration. In the event of that, I'm assuming because of timing and her being out there so long, going about 1:54 in the morning and being out there, over 6, 7, 8 hours, she did, I guess, go into dehydration and started experiencing some sickle cell pain crisis. The issue is that they're doing all of that, but of course this is during COVID, and because it is COVID, she is out there by herself. No one, could have been at the hospital with her. We spoke with her, a couple of times prior, and then there was a period that we did not speak to her. And so as a mother, you don't think anything wrong, because the last time I spoke with her, she was just getting fluids. She was good. She was okay. And then I got a call later from the social worker, probably about a couple of hours after, speaking with her, that stated that I needed to come to the hospital because she's now in critical condition. Now, mind you, I'm thinking they're, calling the wrong person, because she's just out there for fluids, nothing was major. But I go to the hospital and they begin to tell me that they don't know what happened. She was sitting up on the side of the bed. She was okay, don't know. But her heart just stopped. Like I told you, she just had a baby 4 weeks prior. So, surely if anything was with the heart or anything like that, I'm assuming while she was in the hospital having the baby, someone would have said anything. So I wasn't sure, what was the cause of that. Didn't know. Autopsy report done. Took, a minute to get that back. But in the midst of that, just no one being out there, you want to know as a mother, you want to know what happened. What happened between her leaving the house, good, talking on the phone, to now she's in critical condition, and now she is deceased. And so a while passed, and I decided to get medical records. And if I'm getting medical records, I can see a series of things. And I'm no medical doctor, degree in psychology, but in reading those records, you can clearly tell that something happened and something wasn't right. So I began to seek legal counsel to see, and of course, there were medical malpractice. And we've been thus far going forward. The case has been continuing numerous of times. So here we are now, 5 years later, and court was supposed to be next week, or week after next, April the 21st, Forest County, because this is in Forest County. And I've been anticipating, I've been waiting 5 years to get justice for my baby. Because, and for her daughter, because she left her daughter here. The dilemma I have now is I got a call a week before my birthday, on the 13th. Actually, I got the call on the 14th from my attorney stating that there will be no court, because now the judge has dismissed the case, not because no one was at fault, was because of, during the pandemic, Tate Reed signed a executive order, which is Executive Order 1471, that stated that no hospital worker, healthcare worker, no medical facility can be held liable in event of a death or anything going wrong during nationwide, statewide pandemic. And so the judge dismissed the case off of that indemnity alone. Now, that indemnity was only in place from March of 2020 to November 2021. So it's no longer. They realized it wasn't, fair, it wasn't just. So they lifted, they've lifted that indemnity. But the problem that I have is death is death. And I get, during COVID, no one knew what to do, and people feared for their life, and the issues that was at heart and all that. But there were still loved ones out there. There were still people who had other issues other than COVID. Just because COVID came, people didn't stop having sickle cell. People didn't stop having cancer and leukemia and diabetes and other, heart disease. There were still other issues. And so when I release this, that the problem that I have with it is my daughter Nakashia went out there for one thing, and because of this COVID indemnity, they kept saying that they wouldn't move her, they wouldn't touch her, they possibly wouldn't even treat her because they was waiting for a COVID test. By the way, they came back negative, so we already knew she didn't have COVID. She had no symptoms of COVID, no fever, no anything. And with her having an underlying issue with sickle cell, we knew that if she had COVID, it would be much more than running off and diarrhea. And of course, I think in records she said that she had pain in the jaw. Okay, she had been vomiting for like 2 days, and she had been dry heaving. So yeah, she felt the muscle cramps. She hadn't been able to hold anything down. Yes, she was on at home oxygen, that was as needed, according to her pulmonologist. She didn't need it every single day. She needed it when she felt extraneous in work or moving around, and then she would need it if she felt like her oxygen, um, was getting low. But to say all that is, she went there being proactive, doing everything that she knew to do when she felt her body wasn't feeling right, only to not receive the proper treatment. So with that being said, is she went into the emergency room. They go in and assist her. Her monitor goes off 16 times in 38 minutes, and no one goes into her room to check on her, to see why the monitor's going off, to do any type of intervention. And by the time they do walk in, it's too late. She now have no vital, no pulse. So as a mother, nothing can bring her back. As a mother, Mara would, she would never know her mom. It can never be about the mom. It's the principle. And the principle, if it was someone else, and I know we have such an unjust system. You hear it in Lamar County. You hear it everywhere. And I'm just a mother that's crying out saying, I don't know what else to do. Yes, I'm going to fight it. Yes, he dismissed the case. Judge Wes Curry dismissed the case. And I know everybody keeps saying, there's no need of appealing it, because then, the Supreme Court not going to overturn his ruling. But I believe in God. And I am trusting and believing that it may not have been done before. It may not be. But my faith in God says that this can be the exception, because the records are there. It's in black and white. And and my attorney say this all the time, the only thing, if this was to happen now, hands down would be no issue. The only thing with this case is because that executive order that Governor Tate Reed signed, legislation passed, that said that no healthcare worker, and I know a lot of healthcare workers, I know a lot of doctors, I know people, so I'm not even there because I can forget, but it's just the principle of that you done absolutely nothing, that a monitor go off 38 times and no one walked in the room. Not even just say, okay, the pandemic, the times before. People don't take sickle cell serious. There's another incident that happened at another hospital, a totally different person that's saying, hey, my mother's going out, no one is coming here checking on me. So this not even just COVID related. This is just health care, period. And so at this point, I'm just doing this video to get her story out there, to let you know that this is what we deal with, to let you know that we do vote. And you think it's just about the presidential election. No, we have to put the local people, because, and I say this every time I go and I meet with them, no one that's sitting in there with me telling me that I should do this and I should do that and I should leave it alone, or I'm just a grieving mother that can't get over the passing of my daughter, or who's to say that she wasn't going to pass anyway, even if they would have treated her. In spite of all of that, they still have their children. They still go home to their family. The healthcare providers still have their job. She was 21 years old. Her daughter was only 4 weeks old. So their life is still moving, and we're still here picking up the pieces. I still have to hold Amari every other night when she's crying and saying she wants her mom and just want to see her mom and just want her mom to hug her. They can't put a price on that. And the other thing, I don't even know if you all aware that in the state of Mississippi, that if a hospital is held responsible, or they're responsible of a death of a loved one, there is a hard cap. Whether you settle in court or out of court, the max that they can pay out is $500,000. Now, from that $500,000, you got to deduct legal fees, you got to deduct the expenses of everything. So you're not going to even walk away with $500,000. So how can they even put a cap on what your loved one is worth? when they're going to the hospital to get the treatment. She went to a place where she knew she had to go, where she's been told all of her life that you know your body. The first sign that you feel like something is wrong, go to the hospital. In spite of what you believe that, African Americans don't go to the doctor, we don't do. No, she did exactly everything right. She done what she was supposed to do. She knew her body. She knew she couldn't dehydrate. She knew she needed to go get fluids in order to still be able to do what she needed to do for her newborn daughter. And for her to go to a place that she went to get help, only not to get the help, that's sad. That's sad. And so, and then the other thing they say, the COVID protocol, but I've also read in medical records that prior to that, she had an episode where she called someone to come into the room, and as she was trying to use the bathroom, she kind of passed out. I didn't know who she was or where she was at. I didn't know that. No one called me. This happened she went out there at 1:54. This happened at 6:40 a.m. No one called to say there's been a change in her condition, to contact her next of kin. I got a call at 9:46 when she was in critical condition. So I even have a clue that any of these had happened besides reading it in a medical record. And then the COVID protocol too, they say, well, the reason they did not go in her room, the reason they did not treat her, the reason the doctor kept saying don't touch her, don't move her, waiting for a COVID test. For one, you can get a COVID test back in 15 minutes. She just had a baby 4 weeks prior. So I don't know why it took 8 hours to get a COVID result back. But that was the reason why they say they did not treat her, is because they was waiting for a COVID test result to come back to say which way or how they wanted to treat her, what floor they was going to put her on if they admitted her. But with that COVID protocol too, you say we didn't treat or we didn't process because COVID protocol. Well, COVID protocol said that 1 or 2 people can be at the hospital with you if they decided to admit you. Now, mind you, she was in the emergency room, so she was there by herself. Had they kept her into the hospital or moved her to the floor, then someone could go out there and stay with her overnight. However, when she passed, there was no COVID protocol, because if I remember correctly, and I'm sure everyone that kind of see this will know and say, yeah, I was there, I wasn't there. But if I can remember, because I do know I was numb. I was numb, and I'm glad that God numbed me. I'm probably still a little numb so that I'm able to continue to fight this battle. But I can remember, I know it was at least 40, if not more, people out there, and they let us go in and out the hospital. They did not check our temperature. They did not give us a test. They did not require that we have a mask on. We went in and out the hospital as long as we needed and as long as we wanted. We were outside right in front of the emergency room, for our general emergency room door, and I remember some of the nurses coming out, asking if we needed water, if we needed anything. They didn't tell us we had to leave. They just asked that if we all just got on one side so that it wouldn't block the way of people coming in. I can remember my sisters, kind of passing out. They going to, cause it was hard. It was unexpected. No one expected that, because it was just going to get fluids, and so they were having to be admitted to the hospital. But if you talk about COVID protocol, there was no COVID protocol then. So why now everybody can go in and out the hospital after she's deceased? The other question I raise is, I wonder how many people really passed from COVID, or did they just tell their loved ones there and they believe that? So I don't know what will come from this. I don't know. I'm trying to see what can I do legally. What, I'm told that, the case has been dismissed. The only leg I have to stand on now is to file an appeal and go before the Supreme Court. But I'm also told that, okay, the Supreme Court is conservative, and yes, Force General is, conservative, and we are taxpayers, and everybody stick together. So it's like a waste of money and a waste of time to even try to, file an appeal, because everyone is still going to stick together and back up the judge that made the decision. And I just feel like it's just so wrong. Like, we're people. We're supposed to vote, and we pay taxpayer dollars, and we want the justice system to work for us. But it's hard to see the justice system work for you if you ain't in that situation. So a lot of people that's sitting and making these laws and what to do at this time have not been in that situation. And so that's why I will tell them in a minute, again, every one of you all is telling me what I should do and should this and shouldn't do that, you still have your children. You still have your children. Your children are still in sports, active, doing what they're doing, going to school, can live to get married. They still can go on with life. So yes, it is unfair. And I'm not going to keep or make this video too much longer. I just wanted to give a background of what is going on and what I'm facing. And I really was waiting. I have been waiting 5 years. I was anticipating. And they waited exactly 39 days before court, which would have went before jury. They waited 39 days before court. Been asking for a continual for the past almost 5 years, and get 39 days and for it to be dismissed before it even had a chance to go to court. All because of a COVID indemnity, Executive Order 1471. And I don't know if this will reach someone. I don't know if there's, laws, if anything can trump over that. I don't even know if the judge will even see this, because clearly I just don't feel like it's a just law. And if there's anyone who has experienced this, or if there's anyone who have, lost a loved one through COVID, and I get, if they had COVID, but again, I'm going to release it, you'll see her COVID test was negative. She did not have COVID. She specifically went. She ate some food that Sunday. That Monday she was vomiting and running off, diarrhea. She decided wee hours to go, because she's like, I'm going to go to the hospital in the wee hours because it won't be that many people out there. I'll be back before the baby wake up. Like, she had a whole thought process. She was excited. Working on shirts, before Mother's Day. She was excited. She was doing everything she knew to do as a new mother, having a newborn. She done her part, only for the hospital, the people who were supposed to help her, only for them to neglect her. Again, I just ask that you all just keep us lifted in prayer. Like I said, there's been so many. There's the deaths, people are dealing with grief. It's just so much is just going on these days. There, another incident in Lamar County, I believe the man done. Like, we have to stick together, because you best believe they gonna stick together. And so we need to let our voices be heard. And I know normally I don't talk. I'm not gonna do a video, but time is of the essence, because you only have so many days to file an appeal. Also, I knew this would be a kind of lengthy message to be trying to type it out, but I don't know whether it's a rally. I don't know what else to do besides, what I've been doing and what I know to do is to call on the name of Jesus, to call on God, because only He can help. And I don't care what no judge, no lawyer, no law. I know God can trump all of that. And so I'm asking to touch and agree with me that anything, and I know they got to make another decision tomorrow. One part's been dismissed, and there's another part that most likely going to be dismissed too, because you're not going to dismiss the one and don't dismiss the other. So I know that decision has to be made tomorrow. So that was the reason why I'm doing a video now. I was going to do it later and hoping that I didn't even have to make the video, but I see, that justice is not being served. And so I'm asking that prayer warriors, anyone, I don't know, I was told to, for it's legal, trying to get another attorney if it came down to that, because we're so far in the case that was impossible. So I don't know, what else to do. But if anyone have any suggestion, anyone know anything else that I can do, I've stood, I've fought, I'm her voice now. She's no longer here, so I'm her voice. And so I'm, as a mother, this is my way of grieving, to fight for my daughter. And she's no longer here, but I still have to fight for her, because she has the daughter. She left a daughter here. And so I thank you all for just even listening. If you just share the story, if you even know any resources, if you know anyone I can contact, I'm just trying to do whatever it is I need to do, because I know time is of the essence. And I will, like I say, I will post where you can read it for yourself. Like, it's in black and white. So I will upload that. Thank you.